The second of the red wines, Italian Sangiovese, 2 to 3 ounces in your glass. Let's open up to the color page and start the tasting. Holding that glass over a white sheet of paper or over the color card to assess the color. What do you think about this wine? Is it not crazy different than the other red wine that we just opened? If I had to assess the color, I would say it's in between garnet and ruby, but I'm going to just lean towards full garnet and say that it looks to be a garnet color. When I run my hand under the glass, I can actually see stuff through this wine. So this could be a medium garnet color. What do we know about this color right now? I'll get into that in a minute. I want to do the legs before I get there. So hold up the wine, take a look at those legs. We're looking at viscosity in a wine. Again, this is showing us alcohol level and possibly sugar level in wine. I'll be honest with you, these wines are dry. You're not going to see a lot of sugar in these wines here today, but we are looking at alcohol level for sure. And you can see those legs forming on the side of the glass, and it does match up with the fact that this wine is 14% alcohol. Let's talk about this color because it's so exciting. I can't contain myself. If we compare the two wines to one another, we can really see that difference. This GSM blend is a lot more purpley in color, whereas this Sangiovese is a lot more red. This tint is a very interesting thing. It happens in grapes, it happens in other natural plants. But when the anthocyanin is in an acidic environment, the tint actually, the hue shift happens. So under a certain pH, a wine with a red wine will be more red, whereas over a certain pH, the wine will look more blue or purple. Okay, so fun fact and crazy clue for you if you're looking at a wine that's not too old, such as this wine right here, 2015 vintage, that's only 4 years, you can make a pretty good guess that this wine might actually be a lower pH, aka higher acidity wine, just from the color. Really cool. All right, excitement over. We're gonna move on to the sniff. Hold your glasses and do the quick whiff test. Is this a high, medium, or low intensity wine? A little less intensity than that last wine. It's definitely a little bit more reduced in its aromatics. Let's go through the tasting. Turn to the page on Sangiovese and you can see some examples of flavors and start picking out individual flavors. Take a sniff and think about what you smelled. Let it be anything. It doesn't have to be fruit at all. Sangiovese is crazy. It's got all sorts of crazy flavors that are not fruit. So go there if it takes you there, okay? You can pause me, but I'll see you in a minute. All right, let's talk about flavors. I'm searching for fruit first, so I'm going to start with the fruit flavors, but if you smelled something very other than fruit, I would gladly accept that as a first note. But fruit flavors for me, I definitely get tart cherry. It's sour cherry. It's not a sweet fruit flavor. It's a very tart fruit note. I could call out mushy strawberry, like, you know, when you left your strawberries in the fridge for too long and you pull them out and you're like, whoa, what happened here? This definitely has a little bit of that mushy strawberry characteristic. Then another fruit flavor that I think is interesting, close your eyes, imagine dried figs. You get it? Dried figs. There's sort of this figgy flavor to this wine. Now, that's what I get for fruit, but then I get all these other flavors that are just like blowing out of this wine. Let's talk about flower smells. I get flower smells a la potpourri, sort of in that potpourri realm. But what's more interesting is these like weird aromas of balsamic, sandalwood, tomato leaf. Can you smell the tomato leaf? You know, you're working on your garden, you get the tomato leaf smell, and you're like, it's very intense. Speaking of gardening, wet clay pots, mushrooms. There's something funky about this wine that I can't quite put my finger on. Remember when I told you it smelled reduced? I think they're doing something in the winemaking to try to hold this wine together, and it is a little reductive, as they might say. We're getting some mushroomy notes coming out of the smell here. That was a ton of smells. Let's move on to the taste. Just to recap for you really quick, we're going to taste this wine, big swig, swish it around, get it all over your palate. Is it sweet or is it dry? Where's the acidity level? How much tannin? Where's the tannin? Where do you feel the tannin on your tongue? Is it in the front? Is it in the back? Is it everywhere? But then think about that length of flavor. What do you get on the finish? Is it a tart tasting finish or is it sweet and fruity? All right, you ready? Let's do this. Whoa! What does your mouth feel? My eyes are watering. Pretty acidic, right? Can you feel that acid? Are your eyes not watering like mine are? Mine are going crazy right now. My nose is like... That's Sangiovese. Dry, definitely dry. Acidic, definitely acidic. Very tart. My eyes are watering. It's crazy. Let's talk about the tannin. Do you feel your tongue? Feel that tongue, your roof of your mouth. Mush it around there. You get that grip, that astringency there. This wine is so acidic that it actually helps pull off some of the tannin in this wine, but this wine has tannins, like big time tannins. Let's talk tannins. Tannins are polyphenols. They're found in the seeds and skins of the grapes. They give the wine color, but they also add all those other structural elements. It's the reason why great wines can age is because they have some tannin and acidity, among other things. And so you really want a wine with tannin if you want to age a wine. And yes, Sangiovese is age-worthy. I would say this is definitely an age-worthy wine right here. It's going to evolve and change into a wonderful thing as it ages. But that tannin needs to be there structurally. Additionally, tannin causes all this astringency. In fact, there was a study done where they tested how different drinks worked on your palate with food. And they found that beverages with tannin, including tea, black iced tea is a great example, actually have this palate cleansing effect. So when you're pairing wines with food and you pick a wine with tannin such as this one, it's great with those richer, fattier foods. Barbecue, roast meats, all that kind of stuff. This is why these wines pair so well with that kind of food, because they have this tannin, this scrapeability factor to help clear your palate. So if you'd like to, take another sip of this wine and really think about all of those flavors happening in your palate. Cheers. Do you get that bitterness in this wine on second sip? Do you feel the tannin starting to build up on your palate on the second sip? This is what happens with wine, and this is why it's so risky to make an assessment of wine without having a couple of sips to give it a try, because the palate, the structure of that wine changes as you drink it more. Italy, from north to south, is extremely diverse. There are over 500 indigenous grapes from Italy that produce a wide range of wines. But a few things that I've seen to be consistent across the entire country of Italy when it comes to wines and grapes is this thematic of intensity of flavor. So Sangiovese being one, Nebbiolo being another, Sagrantino, Aglianico being another one. These red wines have high intensity flavors. They're bold, they're high tannin, they're high acid. This is a theme of Italian wine, and it's one of the reasons why Italian food has so much flavor and intensity too, because it pairs well with the regional wines. What do you know? I would encourage you, if you like this wine, if you like savory flavors, to start digging around Italy and seeing what dirt you can get into. It's lots and lots of fun. All right, folks, that's Sangiovese. Let's move on to the next wine.